Hey homies, it's your girl Eb from Homegirl Astrology. Welcome to the channel. Today we're talking about the part of your birth chart that's all about the guap, the cash, the bag, the moolah, the greenbacks, blue faces, Benjamins, bands, the coin, all of that. You get it. Today we're talking about the second house, which is the house where the money resides. So stick around to learn more about how money shows up in your birth chart. I'll be right here after the beat drops. So, what is the second house? The second house rules resources, material comforts, earnings, and all issues concerning wealth or related to finances. It shows how you will attain wealth, personal belongings, income, gain, and money lent to others. It also shows profit or loss and support and assistance from other people. It's also your stuff. A lot of modern astrologers associate self-worth and values with the second house. I primarily stick with traditional meanings of it, so I don't really use that in my practice, but I can see how people get there because I believe your ability to earn and keep money is in part tied to how you view your worth and value yourself. I'm about to drop a major key right now, so pay attention. The cool thing about knowing about the second house and what it means as a house of money is that it can tell you about everybody's money. So for all of the people that are represented in your chart, they will all have a second house within your chart so you can see what they've got going on. So for example, the fourth house is the house of the father in your chart. So the fifth house, which is the second house from the fourth house, will tell us about your dad's income. The seventh house is the house of your partner, as we learned in a recent video. So the second house from the seventh house, which is the eighth house, will tell us about your partner's money. So I showed y'all how to find Bae in the chart. So now you can see what Bae's money is looking like, right? So is Bae going to be a sugar daddy or a sugar saddie? Interestingly, there are a lot of names for money that are also associated with food items. For example, cheddar, cheese, the cream, bread, dough, clams, cabbage. So blame Chat GPT for that one. That was new to me. House has a relationship to food also. So being the house of material resources that help us to survive, that also includes food. So if you think about it, if you don't have money, survival is hard. If you don't have food, survival is very hard. So that's how it comes into play. So let's talk about how second house stuff actually looks in practice, okay? So what you'll do is look at the planets in the second house. They tell us the day-to-day story of your money situation and what that looks like. So you want to look at what these planets rule and see what influences are being brought into your house of money. So in addition to looking at what the planets rule, you will also want to just know what their general significations mean. So the sun will bring light into your second house of money because it's the sun, but it's also hot, right? The sun is hot, so it's going to shine light on your money, but it's also going to burn it up. And Mars has a similar effect. So sometimes when you have the sun or Mars in your second house, you can burn through money quickly. Mars also shows us where we are passionate and willing to put in work. So it's possible that you're getting to the bag, but you're also running through the bag, spending it on everything. With Saturn in the second house, you tend to experience restriction. So Saturn in the second house can bring poverty, but it could also create a situation where you're focused more on saving and budgeting and being more careful and having more structure around your money because Saturn also provides structure to us. Jupiter in the second house. Jupiter transits can bring in coin. So my mom, maybe a few months ago, had Jupiter transiting her second house, and she was just getting money from all of these different places. So we were jokingly calling it her money month. So now all of her friends want to know when their money month is. And I'm just like, it takes a while for Jupiter to make a transit. So it may take some years, but just be thankful for what you have, right? Neptune in the second house, money can appear mysteriously, but also can disappear mysteriously. It tends to have sort of a draining effect on wherever it's placed. So Neptune in the second house can be money just kind of runs straight through your fingers and out into the world and you don't know where. So that can be a little challenging. But it can also mean having a more spiritual relationship with money. So part of that money flowing out is accepting or believing that it will come back to you. So Neptune can be delusional, as we've discussed, but really everything seems unrealistic until it's done. With Uranus in the second house, money comes in more sporadically or inconsistently. So this is someone who's less likely to be doing standard salaried work where you know that check is coming every 2 weeks on the 1st and the 15th. So if we think about now, a lot of folks are working in the gig economy. That is very Uranian way of making money because it just, it's sudden. We're not sure where that next money is going to come from. With Uranus being in the second house, it's not stable. So given that you can't really count on it to be there, it's really important to be a good steward of the money that does come in. With Chiron in the second house, we'll talk more about this in a future video. There may be a money wound or a wound around your money mindset that prevents you from really earning what you're supposed to be earning or what you could be earning. But that's not all. So also important for the second house is to look at the ruler of the second house and look at its condition. To do that, we look at the sign that the house cusp is falling in, and then we look at the planet that rules it. Here's a quick visual of the planets and their rulers. So pause the video, take a look. And with the ruler of the second house, we want to look at what sign is it in? Does it like that sign? What house is it in? Does it like that house? And this is going to tell us about your overall financial picture and your overall experience of money in your life. Ultimately, the planets living in the house have to acquiesce to the ruler of the house. So we look at aspects to the ruler and seeing what contacts it's making to better understand what the situation of the second house is. So for example, maybe Neptune is not in your second house, but perhaps it is in a conjunction or joined together with the ruler of your second house, right? Then you're still going to have some Neptune situations with your money. Or for example, if Jupiter is squaring the ruler of your second house, you may have some Jupiterian influences coming in to your money. So once I had a client who had her second house cusp in the sign of Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. And Saturn was ruling her second, but located in her 12th house in the sign of Scorpio. So I read her chart and I talked about the influence of hidden enemies on her money or potentially hiding money because the 12th house is a house of hidden enemies. It's also a house of self-sabotage, so that could have been the direction that I went in. She told me this story about how when she was a kid, she would always save her money and sock it away, which is a very Saturnian thing to do. And she would put it in a drawer in her bedroom. And then one day she noticed that her money was gone. One of her friends had stolen it. And it really made her distrustful of people when it comes to money. And she also became a little bit more fearful around saving. So in her chart, it just so happens that the planet representing her friends was squared by the ruler of her house of hidden enemies. So it just kind of furthered this story in her life that everyone who claims to be a friend isn't one, and it impacted the way that she took care of her money going forward. There are other wealth indicators in the chart, and we'd also want to consider the part of fortune, which I'll cover in a future video. But as for the second house, I think we've done it. If you want to hear about your natal promise for money and how you can make money, hit me up. Book a birth chart reading with Homegirl Astrology. You can also book a solar return reading so you can see what your money promise for the year looks like. If you enjoyed this video or took something away from it, please like it, share it, drop a little cash bag emoji in the comments. And if you like this video, you may enjoy some of our other content on the channel. So feel free to subscribe, hit the notification button so you will be aware of future Homegirl Astrology videos. Thanks so much, homies. Peace.